Science Skills and Safety, Science Lab Safety, WHMIS, MSDS, and HHPS. Now before we get started, I want you to pause the video and watch video number 1. Safety Challenge. What I'd like you to do is again pause the video and list as many unsafe things people should not do in a science lab. These can be things you've seen or things you just think of. So in your notebook, list as many unsafe things that people should not do in a science lab. By the time you're done, you should have at least 5 to 10 different examples. So you have your list. Let's go over some examples. These are in no particular order, and they certainly don't exhaust all the things you should not do in the science lab. But if there is something that I write down that you didn't have on your notes, make sure you copy it down. Open-toed shoes. Those are things like sandals, flip-flops, things that don't have a cover over the toes. And the reason for that is that you can spill things on your toes, you can drop things, etc. Another one would be keeping your hair down. And this is mainly for long hair because hair can fall into chemicals, it can be ignited by a Bunsen burner fire, etc. So you got to tie your hair back all the time. Eating or drinking is a very big no-no in the science lab. Food can become contaminated and make you sick. You can also spill your drink and potentially create a dangerous situation. Forgetting to label your test tubes and your samples can be really hazardous because people won't know what those things are. And many hazardous chemicals can look like other things. For instance, hydrochloric acid, a very dangerous corrosive acid, looks almost exactly like water. So make sure you label your beakers and your test tubes. Dumping chemicals down the sink can be really hazardous to both the plumbing and the environment. Before you do anything, make sure you check with your teacher to make sure that you understand where those chemicals need to go. Some can be dumped down the sink, but others need to be disposed of in a different way. Instructions are huge. You need to listen to and follow the instructions precisely because they're there to keep you safe. There's definitely no running or fooling around in the science lab. You could potentially knock things over, bump into people. It's a really big hazard that we can't have in the science lab. So you need to be walking, paying attention, and doing what you're told. Now, sitting may not seem like a really bad thing to do. The thing is, if you're sitting, it's going to take you longer to get out of the way. So if someone spills chemicals on your desk and it's coming towards you, it's going to take a lot longer to get out of the way if you're sitting compared to if you're standing up. So we're going to make sure that we're always standing when we're doing any kind of experiment in class. Now, this last one may seem like a bit of a no-brainer, but there's definitely no smelling or tasting of these chemicals. They can burn your nostrils, they can poison you. So we got to make sure that we do not ingest any of the chemicals. And if this does happen, make sure you tell your teacher immediately so that the right treatment can be administered. Now again, this list definitely does not exhaust all the unsafe things you can do in a science lab, and you may have other ones as well. But ensuring that we don't do these things will go a long way to keeping our classroom safe. WHMIS. WHMIS stands for Workplace Hazardous Material Information System. The purpose of WHMIS is hazard identification and product classification, labeling, material safety data sheets, and worker training and education. Essentially, we want to make sure we understand what we're dealing with and how to properly dispose of and control situations with these chemicals. So here are the main 9 WHMIS symbols. You have things like exploding, gas cylinder, health hazard, flame, corrosion, extreme health effects, oxidizing material as in something that can make another material combust faster, toxicity, and environmental damage. These symbols are located on packaging so that you know exactly what you're dealing with so that you can keep yourself and others safe. If something is corrosive, for instance, you got to make sure that it does not come into contact with your skin or eyes. Gas cylinders are generally under high pressure, which can explode, etc. MSDS stands for Material Safety Data Sheet, and they're available for all chemicals used and contain important information. Very similar to our WHMIS symbols, these material safety data sheets give us a more thorough idea of what exactly the product hazards are. So here's an example, a sample MSDS. So for instance, if we're dealing with sodium hydroxide, you can see the name here, the symbol there, and the fact that it's corrosive. You have the hazardous ingredients, which is sodium hydroxide, some physical data, and then fire and explosive information, as well as health hazard data for eye contact, inhalation, ingestion, and skin contact, and then how to administer first aid if these things occur. HHPS stands for Hazardous Household Product Symbols. They're found on virtually all potentially dangerous household products, and they indicate both the type and danger of the degree of risk. So for instance, you'll see here in the drain opener, and if we zoom in, you see it right here, and you can see that it's corrosive. Pesticides are poisonous. So all these things are located on common household products to keep you safe. Now here are the 4 main ones: poison, corrosive, flammable, and explosive. And then we can combine them with the degree of risk. Danger meaning the worst, warning, middle, and caution being the least dangerous. So we can combine them into 12 potential symbols. So you can have a poisonous substance that is dangerous, warning, or caution, etc. Now I want you to pause the video one last time and watch number 2. It's an important series of safety videos that show how easily accidents can happen both in the workplace and at home when we're not paying attention and following the rules. And that concludes our lesson on safety.